Fabulous morning. We are on the road to 40 lounges. It is me, Fancie Moore, again doing more interviews with the wonderful lounges I've got to experience in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I am just having a blast with this because, as I tell you over and over again, the experience every time I go is brand new. That's because each lounge has its own chemistry, what they bring, and it just adds to the smoking experience. And me being a lover of cigars and absolute lover of lounges, this is just, today's trip is absolutely amazing and stunning. I'm at the House of Cigars Factory.
Welcome.
Yes, please introduce yourself.
Well, welcome. We're very glad to have you, and we're very glad to have all of you here at the House of Cigars. We're at the corner of Spring Valley and Midway, and we built this place for you to come and relax and enjoy. And so when you do that here, it makes us happy. We fulfilled our purpose. We consider ourselves to be a small micro factory. We are a boutique. We make fresh batches of cigars. We smoke as many as we can.
Yes.
And sell the rest to keep the lights on.
Well, definitely this interview is going to be different than the other ones you've seen because we are stationary for now, but in order for you to actually experience how this factory works with the rolling station and the beautiful hut cigar humidor, we're going to have to get up and go mobile as well. So, but what I wanted to do first was give our wonderful spotlight today to you and to the magnificent setup that you have. The lighting, the music, it just invites you into an experience of what is the music that you're playing?
This is Tito Puente right now, and which is apt and appropriate because he was my husband's godfather.
Okay.
So we always want to give acknowledgement to him.
Yeah. So when you come in here, what I feel like is I get some culture, and the culture is, to me, the lighting, the shades that you have. They've got that bamboo look. Then you've got this wonderful music playing. Then you've got the hut theme in the back. I'd like to know, how did you come up with the hut theme for the humidor?
Well, first of all, going back even a little bit to the beginning, the House of Cigars is focused on celebrating the tradition and the heritage of building fine handmade cigars.
Okay.
And so what we try to do here is present an authentic experience as far as what goes into the artistry of producing a cigar and lift the veil, so to speak, so that you too can understand more about what is the time, effort, and energy and the artistry that goes into making a good cigar. We feel that someone can enjoy their experience more if they're more educated about their smoking.
Yes.
And so it's important for us to share with those that are interested exactly what we do, how we do it, why we do it that way.
Yeah.
It's led to some very interesting discussions about cigar production.
Yeah.
As far as why we built our humidor to look like a little house, it really harkens back to our very first store. We started in the west coast of Florida, off of Tampa, on the Barrier Islands.
Okay.
And our first location was actually an old officers' quarters from MacDill's Air Force Base, which were moved to the beach to be little beach houses, and they were very small.
Yeah.
If you take maybe the length of this room and about as wide as the humidor behind you, that's all the bigger we were when we started.
Wow.
Luckily, you don't need a lot of space to keep cigars.
Yeah.
And we're into the concept of keeping it simple and keeping it honest. And so the name House of Cigars came from the fact that we were actually in a little house.
Okay.
And we want you to feel like you're coming into our living room and hanging out there to relax, to make yourself at home. And that vibe that we try to create here is a little oasis for the modern world.
Yeah.
That you can walk in here and decompress. Nothing pleases me more than when somebody walks in tight and stressed out from their busy day, to walk out the doors with their shoulders down, they're relaxed, they had a moment to just take a break.
Yeah.
And really enjoy what I think is one of the true benefits of smoking a cigar, which is having a great conversation, relaxing, and just decompressing a little bit.
And I think ultimately you have everything you described, you actually have accomplished in what you tried to do. I love when I walk in, I get that culture that is not so modern city. It does take you to the, wanting to know a little bit more history about the cigars. And one of the there's many things to learn here, but one of the things definitely is the cigars are all hand rolled. They are all made here in-house. Just amazing. No other lounge in this area does that. And when I stopped in, I actually got to see all the bales of delivered leaves. Now, if you're like me, you come to the lounge, you're looking for the cigar, you just want to buy it, cut it, light it just right, and enjoy it. But it is even more fascinating to see what these look like before they ever get to this stage. And I had the opportunity with you to smell the different ones, pick up on the different aromas, see how you package them. That was absolutely fascinating to me. And then I remember the first time I came in, I saw the tabletops. All the tabletops have a cigar leaf shellacked into the top of them. And I mean, everything about it just speaks to the culture. And they even have an espresso bar.
Oh yeah, we weren't going to start this morning without a good espresso, so cheers.
Cheers, thank you. So I really felt like I came into like a little oasis, just like she described, and it has been nothing but magnificent. They do their own blending. You were telling me your husband is the expert blender.
Yes.
And I know when I walked into the humidor, I was able to say, I'm looking for a cigar that does this, that doesn't do that. I don't want this and I want that. And he was able to talk to me, and you were able to talk to me about the soil, the different soils that the leaves are grown in, and what to expect from the cigar experience based on that. And so when we go mobile in a little bit, we are actually going to go see some of the leaves. We are going to see the hand roller in her station working, and we're going to go into the humidor as well. What I'd like to know next is what created your passion to actually start to get into cigars?
Well, in some ways, this is a true family tradition.
Okay.
My husband's grandfather on his mother's side cultivated large acreage of tobacco in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And he was one of the main suppliers to Tampa of raw material at the turn of the century when Ybor City was the cigar capital of the world.
Okay.
And also he produced coffee and other fruits as well. And his name was Luis Pio Santaliz. My husband was never able to meet him, but his mother used to tell stories of being a child and playing in the curing houses and in the glaciales, they call them in Spanish.
Wow.
And she has memories of enjoying that experience. And we've actually been able to travel there and see some of the beautiful, rich, fertile soil, and it's an amazing place. So this is in his blood.
Okay.
What we discovered after we started this business was that he has a palate that is unique.
Okay.
He's able to discern nuances in flavor and tone that are beyond the normal human being.
Okay.
If you were to describe that in the wine world, he would be a sommelier. He's just naturally born with this palate.
Okay.
In the cigar world, they call them catadores.
Catadores.
Mhm.
See, this is like a trip into like a history book, or going on a out of country experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Well, and if you've ever met any Puerto Ricans, they're very much interested in celebrating their culture and heritage,
Yes.
and that's part of what we like to do here, and to share the richness and beauty with those that come in.
yes.
The part of this that's been interesting is that we have discovered over time about Willie's palate. He didn't know that he was blessed.
Here comes Willie.
Yeah, he's coming. I often joke and call him my mad scientist because we learned very early on. We actually opened as a label store, and we carried all the labels. Monte Cristo whites, 858s, you name it, we had it.
Wow.
And we thought it would be really cool to show people how cigars are made. And when you're in Florida, it's a lot easier to find rollers.
Okay.
So go back 15 years ago, and we found this little Cuban guy about this big. His name was Gustavo Vieto.
Okay.
God rest his soul. What a wonderful man. And he looked like old tobacco leaf. I mean, just crinkly and wise and full of flavor.
Yeah.
And he really helped us to begin our journey into what we are today.
Okay.
And so he took us to some of the different people that he knew, and we got some leaves, and he started making cigars. And he made mild, medium, and strong. So cute. And so we put a little section in the humidor, just a little tiny, little couple of rows. And we started offering our house blends as well as the labels.
Okay.
And then I made the happy mistake of trying to really fit what we were making and what we offered to our clients and what they were looking for.
Oh, wow.
And so they would come in and they would say, well, I like an Arturo Puente. And I'd say, okay, well, we have an Arturo Puente. And I would scoop the little cellophane down and I'd say, smell this cigar.
Okay.
Okay? And I say, this is the one we make that's the most similar to this blend.
Wow.
Smell this one as well.
Wow.
What smells good to you is Wendell making espresso. Thank you. We're Latinos, we're noisy.
That's okay. That's what we
live
came
out
for,
loud,
to
right?
get the culture experience here. And that comes with making espressos.
That sound means that you got good espresso coming. So I would offer them the two to smell. And, everything comes back to basics. What smells good to you is going to taste good to you.
Okay.
Right?
And that's what I figured out, because a lot of times I walk in and to me, my eyes I feel like I'm in a candy store.
Right.
But
Don't get distracted from the bells and whistles, because you're not going to smoke the bells and whistles.
I
Right?
picked them up and I would smell them.
Exactly.
And when I would smell something, it's like a light would go off in my head and I'm thinking, I want to smoke this one. So that's literally how I started off figuring out what I wanted to smoke and what I liked to smoke when I first started.
Right. What
So,
smells good to you is going to taste good to you. If it doesn't smell like anything at all, you keep going and you find something that appeals to your palate.
Yeah.
Because cigars are all about aroma and flavor.
Yeah.
Right?
And you picked a fabulous one for me this morning.
Oh,
This
thank
is
you.
probably what I had in mind. And so when I told you what I was looking for, and you were like, hey, I got the one I think you'd like. And this is perfect. I don't think I could have picked better on my own.
That's my job, is to be the liaison between what we manufacture here and what you're looking for in a smoke. So I try to bridge that gap.
Perfect.
So at any rate, that kind of snowballed. People started buying the house blends, and after a while, a couple of months, I looked at Willie and I said, these labels aren't selling and I need more shelf space for the ones we're making. Meanwhile, Willie began working with Gustavo and just naturally being curious and a very creative person. You know, he would say, well, what happened? What is this leaf? What does it smell like? What does it do? What's this leaf? What does it smell like? What does it do? Well, why are you mixing these together? Well, what happens if we mix these together? Then what happens? And so behind the scenes, I started encouraging him to collect more variety of leaves.
Okay.
So that he has more flavor ways to play with.
Yeah.
And the mad scientist was born. And so we developed blends that highlight different tones and nuances and strengths in the cigar.
Yeah.
You know, from my perspective, the designations of mild, medium, and full body do not reflect only the strength or how impactful or how much buzz you get off your cigar. They also talk about how much flavor you're getting on the palate. So it's a kind of a twofold match between the two. So it just kind of kept blossoming, and people kept selecting the ones that smelled best to them. And after about 6 months or so, we sold all of the labels, because a lot of them were still in the original boxes that we've never sold a one of, and we went straight factory, and we've never looked back.
Okay.
So that's how House of Cigars began. It's a humble beginning, and we try to keep that in the forefront of what we do every day. Cigars are a luxury item for every man and woman to enjoy upon occasion.
All right.
Right?
And you know what? And there is something very special about a man and a woman who share a love for cigars. Now that I smoke, and I smoke so frequently, I could not imagine a mate that doesn't smoke. Because it's a level of bonding. The conversations that I have when I go to lounges are the most relaxed,
Right.
and the most unfiltered and just totally decompressed conversations. You can walk in and I can have a fabulous conversation with someone and just simply leave and say, hey, it was nice chatting with you. Had I met that same person in a grocery store or out at the gym or running, everything would be a, hey, how you doing? You know, if that, because we're always so focused. But in the lounge, I find that I just sit down and I just relax completely, and the cigar brings that just hour or so of relaxation, and then the conversation that comes out of it is just the most relaxing, just unforced conversations, which are the best ones.
Right.
And so for you, I want to say what you've done here is magnificent. I love it. I know other people that come have to love it as well. But you and Willie have done, your husband. The fact that the little things you add to it to bring the culture to it. Now, what you've done for me, I just first started liking cigars, then I started liking lounges. Now, this experience has brought me to, since I've seen more, especially with all those leaves, those huge leaves, those bales, and watching you all get them prepared to store and then hand roll. And then you talked about the soils. Now, the next step of understanding cigars has come for me because of what I've experienced here. And so, I don't know about you, but sometimes you can just love what you have. You just want to go in the store, get it, want it to work, do what it's supposed to do, and you just go on. But for me, everything keeps going to next levels. And so you have definitely taken me to the next level. I think at some point I could see myself traveling somewhere to see how they're grown, to see more of where they actually come from. And it's probably because of House of Cigars. Because had I not seen, first I just saw the leaves on the table, the ones shellacked in the table. Then when I saw the bales and the flour sacks that they came out of, I'm thinking, my curious, mind is like, what are they doing? And when you showed them to me and you pulled out different ones and you let me smell them, all of a sudden I'm like, hey, and then you started explaining the soil. Now I want to see. So as this progresses, as this develops, I could actually see me traveling to actually see some are they called farms?
Fincas.
Fincas?
Yes, so in English that would be farm.
Oh wow, see I love this because not only are you getting the culture, you get the actual language that comes with the culture. So yeah, I mean, before I go, I'll at least have some knowledge if I, stay in touch with you about, hey, just listening to you talk about it, I'm going to have a better understanding of what it is I'm seeing.
Well, and that's really the best way. Immersion is the best way to really get the experience.
Yeah.
We discovered very early on in our journey that the majority of information about cigars is generated by marketing companies that are doing a great job promoting their product. It's not coming from educators per se, whose main focus is to enlighten and inspire and intrigue. And so, although on occasion we run into trouble because we run into very well-educated smokers that have read everything there is to know about cigars, they've never actually had a chance to experience the reality.
Yes.
And so that's really what I was referring to when we talk about liking to lift the veil.
Yes.
Because what we discovered is a lot of what is determined as not possible in manufacturing cigars is not an accurate word to be used.
Okay.
What they're really saying is it's not profitable to do on a mass scale. And I certainly understand and respect the industry. I mean, there are millions of cigars being made and distributed all over the world. Yeah. And that's not our niche. Our niche is to make it, we're a boutique micro factory.
Yeah.
We're interested in very small batches of cigars that are made with the best premium first pick tobacco that is available to us on the market. Mm-hmm. We are interested in the boutique aspects of cigar manufacturing. That's our niche. We don't want to be large. We want to make as most beautiful cigars as we possibly can, and we take advantage of smoking as much of our stock as is possible.
All right.
All the time. There's a niche there, and that's what we enjoy. And there's a lot about the cigar industry that doesn't work with our business model because we color outside the lines.
Yes.
And we're interested in expanding and exploring and celebrating that true creativity that can come from the freedom of not having the pressure of producing volume.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
One of the most important things about how we do things is a fundamental difference, which you're going to have to try one to taste the difference, is that we do not fumigate our finished product.
And what does that mean? You don't fumigate?
So, a little science lesson. It all goes back to basics always. And tobacco doesn't really have any natural enemies. It's a natural self-protective plant as it's growing in the field. It has a very high acidic content.
Okay.
It has very high nicotine content, both of which are bug repellents.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay, nicotine is the active ingredient in flea spray, for example, that you use on your pets because it repels bugs.
Okay.
It kills them. So, there's one bug. It's called the tobacco weevil.
Okay.
And it actually will fly around and lay eggs on the undersides of the leaves as they're growing in the fields. But those eggs even stay in stasis until it hits a certain point of humidity and temperature level. So back at the turn of the century, when the trade routes opened up globally, that's when the factories began fumigating their finished product in order to preserve the cigars until they got to the end user, because they would get too hot and too dry, and the eggs would hatch out, a little weevil would crawl out and eat little holes in the cigars and ruin the cigars.
Okay.
You can't smoke a cigar full of holes.
Okay.
So in order to preserve and distribute the product, they had to do something to keep the eggs from hatching.
Okay.
Okay, so fumigation is an efficient and effective way to control the tobacco beetles.
And so the cigars are not, you said yours are not fumigated?
Well, you can't get rid of the bugs. They've been here longer than we have, and they'll probably last longer than we will. So what are you going to do? We went back to simple science, and we developed a system where we use temperature and humidity control to preserve our stock.
Okay.
And that has to do with the leaves when they come in the bales, which we'll take a look at in a little while later, to preserving the stock, and then building the stock and curing the stock. As long as we maintain the appropriate temperature and humidity levels, those eggs don't hatch out, and you don't have a problem.
All right.
Now, you can't do that on a mass scale. It's not possible. There's no way between the manufacturing and the shipping through customs and the holding and the warehousing and the distribution centers and the it's just cost prohibitive to be able to do that.
Gotcha.
However, for us, we are able to be successful, and we have been successful in preserving our cigars organically using temperature and humidity control through our entire journey.
Okay.
And a lot of that goes back to the fact that we're a family-owned business, and we don't want to subject ourselves, our employees, or our clients to pesticides.
Gotcha. So pesticides are pretty much used because of the larger production of leaves, and it's just hard to control the bugs otherwise.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
So the difference is remarkable. From our traditional perspective, we love that we are able to do this because it's very much like it used to be in the old days. You would get up, you would go visit your local, Jose, how are you doing today? Have an espresso, grab a couple of cigars that were just made, take them home, smoke them, enjoy them, come back and get some more when you run out. So it's a fresh product. To us, this is a fresh product. We're like Cake Boss.
Yeah. Well, and it actually...
We're not making Twinkies,
This, when you talk about fresh, and I think about all the cigars I've smoked, that is probably a very appropriate word for what I feel when I'm smoking your cigars.
Right.
They feel fresh.
Right. They are.
I mean, when I touch it, when I just give it a slight press between my fingers, the oils, it feels like something that was freshly made. And so, that being said, if you're okay, I would like to go mobile.
Sure. And and just to finish the thought, you can taste the difference. All that we put in our cigars is premium leaf, a little bit of potato-based vegetable glue to seal the cap, and a little bit of love. That's my secret ingredient.
Okay.
But what that gives to you as a smoker is you get just a mega amount of flavor, and then when you're done smoking, you're done. Your palate is clean. It's like you didn't even have a cigar, because that metally bite that you get in your cigar comes from the chemicals burning, not the leaf. So these give you a great amount of flavor. They disappear when you're done smoking them. They don't bother your stomach and your throat.
You're going to back up for me on that. One of the fun things I love about the way I do these interviews is I am constantly educated on camera. And what you just said, I would have never known had you not just explained it. That taste, and you're right, some things do bother my throat. and I noticed that I actually do allergy, either nose spray or allergy pills before I smoke a lot of times to make sure, because I thought it was just the leaf. If you would please explain that again, what it is that is irritating or making me feel the need to cough. It's not the leaf, it's what?
The chemicals.
The chemicals. And the chemicals used for what?
Okay, so what you're experiencing is very common, and nobody wants to talk about it because it's not a good sales pitch. Smoke this; it's full of bug spray. It doesn't work well.
Okay.
It's been something that's been kind of covered up in the industry, and I certainly understand why.
Yes.
Not that I agree with it, but I get it. When the cigars are completed, like before we lit our cigars today, in big factories, they will take them and they will put them in a room that you can seal off completely. And then they use pellets, which when they put them in water, they create a gas.
Okay.
And they gas the cigars with the pesticide. Usually for 72 hours. That gas goes over through in the leaf, it gets absorbed into the leaf, and hopefully it kills the eggs.
Okay.
Not always, but most of the time. After they've been gassed, they're removed from the chamber and they're aired out for months to try to let some of that nasty get back out of the cigar.
Got it, okay.
When you smoke a cigar, most cigars will taste different when you start them as opposed to when you finish them.
Yes.
Okay? They go sour, they go bitter on you, they have a bite, right? By the time you get to the ring in a cigar, you're done because it's gone south on you, right?
Yep.
Okay, this is because when you smoke your cigar and the ash burns down, the oils will chase in front of the cherry and condense at the end of the cigar. But so will the chemicals. So you're getting...
Are you listening?
This becomes the yuckiest part of the cigar right here. By the time you get to the ring, you're done. Because it's a condensed progression of what's been burning.
Got it.
Right? We have the opposite problem here. One day I had a guy come in who was selling the little picks that you put in the end of the cigar.
Pokers?
Okay, well, all right, good. Okay, true.
I have quite a few of those.
Right? And I said, I don't need them to poke holes in my cigar so that I can smoke my cigar if it doesn't drop. Because we are one of the few factories that has a 100% guarantee behind the construction of our cigars. If you find one that's not burning right, bring it back to me. We'll do a cigar topsy on it, figure out what went wrong and fix it in the factory and give you another one to thank you for your trouble for helping us pursue our constant pursuit of perfection.
A cigar topsy, like a cigar autopsy?
Yes, we do. We break them apart and we figure out what happened and we fix the problem.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I don't need pokers to go this way through my cigar. And part of that is the technique that we use to build them, which we can talk about in a minute.
Okay.
What I was interested in purchasing them for was to go crosswise, because the thing that we laugh about around here is that this becomes the best part of your cigar. This is where all of the oils condense together and you get the richest expression of the flavor that this cigar was intended and built to become.
Awesome.
And so people were burning their fingers, smoking the little ends. And so I bought the little pokers so that they could literally just smoke them until there was no more. And that's what happens to us around here.
Yes.
Because the oils and the leaves are what carry the flavor. And you're never going to get more of that awesome flavor than you are at the end. And that really, in essence, is the difference between what we do and what the general market of cigar production does.
Okay. Wow.
Right?
That was a showstopper. because I've had the experience, but when you don't understand what you're experiencing, you just know, hey, this usually happens or sometimes happens at a certain point.
Right.
And you just, for me, I either
That's
put
the
it out.
bug spray.
Okay.
So, and different people have different tolerances for the chemicals. And for example, you probably, I would describe as having a medium tolerance for those chemicals. I have a pretty good tolerance for them. I used to smoke cigars way before we started doing this. And more in the medium to full body. I like darker wrappers. I like rich flavor ways. Used to bother me in my stomach. I used to get acid reflux. That's where it hit me. But I had a client in Florida, and he was so funny, Eddie. And he would come in and he would smoke these cigars, and he would have absolutely no problem with them. And he'd come back and smoke some more, and come, you know. And he was one of our locker members at one point, so we got to know him pretty well.
Okay.
And then sometimes he would come in and he'd say, "Oh, Nicole, I messed up." And I say, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I was out, I was partying, I picked up a label cigar, I smoked it, and I broke out in hives the next morning." And I'm like, "Eddie, you know you need to stay in your lane. If you're going to do this, you need to be in organically preserved cigars."
Got it.
You know, my husband is a perfect example of that. Willie loved the smell of cigars, but he could never smoke them. He'd start smoking them and he would get sick immediately. But we also know about him that he's incredibly sensitive to chemicals, medicines, alcohol even. He can drink the neck of a beer and go straight to the spins.
Oh,
I
wow.
think he has an allergy to alcohol. So when he started making these cigars, he could smoke all day, every day without any ill effects. And that's when we knew for sure his tolerance for those chemicals is zero, basically. So every individual has their own, you know, metabolism, their own, what they can have, their own tolerances.
Yeah. Wow.
You can be safe, and you can just, you know, what comes of the earth and is not synthetic is always easier for the body to address.
Yes.
Again, going back to the basics.
Absolutely. Well, you've done marvelous. I love these on-camera educations. Every last one of them will be that way, I can promise you, because when I came and asked you to do the interview, I remember the look on your face. You looked a little perplexed. You were just like, okay. And did you imagine that we would be completely unscripted?
I love it. You know, if you're doing what you love, then it'll flow out of you.
And it did.
And you know, for me, I think it's wonderful what you're doing. It's and I can't wait to look back in 5 years and say I knew you then. And for all of you, it's a chance for you to come in and spend some time with us. And you might not have known that we were even here. A lot of people say we're the best kept secret in town, and that could very well be true. We like to grow organically, and we find one person that finds their happy place with us, then they tell a friend, and so on and so on, and that's the way that we like to grow.
Yeah, and just so you know, the reason I'm doing this, because you did look perplexed, everybody looks a little perplexed at first, but the reason I'm even doing the interviews is because I ended up at so many lounges, and I'm getting ready to hit 70. 70! Woohoo!
That's amazing.
But I found the most appealing thing about every single one, because my natural makeup is I see the positive in things, I see the beauty in things, and I see the just absolute beauty in the uniqueness. And so one of the things I figured I could do was to let people know that these lounges are here. They are gorgeous, they are each different. If you're in a mood, if you know what you generally like, your core personality, where you like to be, great. But if you want a new experience, in here, I'm not going to lie, I'm listening to the music and I want to get up and dance. I'm like, I want a salsa and smoke a cigar, you know. I see Cuban, I see Habano, you know, all the terms in the cigar world that I've learned.
Now let me stop you right there.
Please stop me.
Okay? Because cigars are an American tradition.
Another education point.
Okay. I think about Bob, and I know that's a funny name for my Indian over there, you know, but...
Willie, you got to come to camera at least to
yeah,
say
you
hi.
gotta come do a drive-by. Come do a drive-by.
Come back here. We got an open
Indeed.
spot.
Yes.
You're about to meet Willie. Willie is Nicole's husband. They own this beautiful shop.
Hi, Mom.
All right. Well, I am glad I got to see your face this morning.
Sorry I can't share no time with you guys, but I have a medical emergency I gotta go attend to.
Okay. Well, we will finish up here.
It's
See the
with my
rest.
horse, but he's my boy.
That's all right.
That's
I
it.
like horses.
He has his own blend. His blend is the Tango.
Okay.
And,
Which actually I think,
yeah, that's what we're making
That's
today,
what we're making
actually.
today,
Yeah. So he's a great horse, and it's a great cigar. So
yeah, and I'm smoking Mama's horse.
the rodeo.
Which is the rodeo.
Yeah, there you go.
Take care of our horse.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, take care of our horse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I went ahead and said R
Horse,
because,
right?
yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
Love this, what you're doing.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, Mom. So I just wanted to talk about Bob for a second. Many people probably slept through, you know, high school classes about Columbus Day. But one of the gifts that came back to Europe from America that was considered one of the riches of this country were hand-rolled cigars, which were provided to him by the Indians that he met here. The Indians, the American Indians, were rolling and smoking tobacco in the beginning.
And I noticed the Indian statue in so many different shops.
That's because
But it's always
an American Indian.
chief.
That's right. So you've never seen a little Cuban guy standing there in front of the shop holding cigars carved in wood, and you never will, because this is not a Cuban tradition. This is an American tradition.
Actually, should I go back in?
Absolutely. Willie wants to come back
Here
to
we go.
camera.
We want to talk about Bob a little
We're going to
bit.
talk about Bob.
You know, this is the earliest form of advertising because people that came in and settled this country had many different languages. Many were illiterate. They had to find a way to share with the people that cigars were available for
At
purchase.
the little convenience stores in the Western
Right,
days.
in the Western days. And
Because
so,
they had, you know, we had no social media back then.
that's right.
We had no source of vehicles of advertisement. So,
They
the American Indian, since it was the main e-commerce, became the symbol for
Cigars sold here.
tobacco sales.
That's
So
right.
that's why you always see the Indian outside by the door. And when people came around in their horses and stuff like that, they knew that that little convenience store back then, bodega, however you want to call it, sold tobacco products.
Okay.
Right. That is the earliest form of advertising.
You know, it's like I always tell people, you see cowboys smoking cigars. Back in the days, people weren't shipping cigars to the United States. So it's very common, you know, you just people don't pick up on this thing. And also, she could show you, we have a lithograph that is over 150 years old from a company in the United States. Now, they chose to use queens and kings because the target market was Europe.
Okay.
And they used the Spanish language
Okay.
and the gold coins and all that stuff back in the days of advertisement on the cigar boxes. So,
But this is an American tradition.
Got it.
You know, one of the things that I love about what you're doing is that you're celebrating that. And this is an era where we're under threat to continue doing what we do.
You mean the rules and regulations
Yes,
coming
ma'am.
down? Yeah.
And, you know, to eliminate part of our American traditions is a crying shame. You know, that I think that we need to celebrate our heritage, and that's what we try to do every day here.
Okay.
You know, I'm amused because you're wearing your Marine Corps sweatshirt today. We love the Marines, but my husband is former Army.
But we're all brothers in the battlefield.
That's right, and you know we're when I pay my taxes to do what I do, I'm happy to pay them in the sense that I appreciate the opportunity to be a small business and to do things my way here in America. And you know, supporting the small factories that still exist here in the United States, and there aren't too many of us left, I think is something that is becoming more and more crucial in order to maintain the viability of this industry in the United States.
All right.
I mean,
Right?
I think that
So part of what you're doing is helping to support that cause and to support us and all of the little factories like us. And there are a few of us, and we're the little engines that could. You know, we're a small business. We are contributing to the economy, and we are, you know, proud to be doing this here in the United States, right? Which instead of importing everything from somewhere else.
and keep in mind that, you know, the American backbone
Little mom and pops,
was
just
little
like
mom
us.
and pops.
So we thank you,
Not
and we
the
thank
big
all of you
corporations.
guys out there. Support us.
Support your
Help
local
us,
cigar shop.
help us do our
Go to
thing.
all of them like she does.
Yeah.
We all have different feels, different vibes. You know, go visit them. You know,
Right.
spend your money with the little guys,
Yeah.
not the big corporations that don't need it. Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
So good to see you.
Bye-bye, gotta go now.
All right. Are we ready to go mobile? Love,
Yeah, let's go mobile.
love in the cigar industry, love in the
There you
cigar
go.
world.
Feeling the love.
We're going mobile. We're going to see the hand rolling station, and we're going to see that beautiful hut behind us of a humidor, a house of a humidor. I call it hut because when I was doing my written review, I was like, you know, she's going to have to educate me purely because I totally did not understand what I saw, but I felt the vibe. I felt the culture. And not wanting to give it any disrespect or explaining something I didn't know, I wanted you to tell me all about it. And I'm loving it.
Awesome.
So we're going to go mobile. Let's go.
All right, buckle your seatbelts.
So we're going to follow you.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to show you a little bit more about what I consider to be the heart of what we do. And that
Look
has
at
to
this.
do with Inaldi's. She's one of our master rollers.
Hi, Analdi.
Hi. There she is.
I'm going back here with her too.
Yeah, we should, I wonder if we can even bring you guys in a little bit closer here. Hey, Grandma, can you bring the barrel so we can set up a little higher? And if you would,
Okay.
Can you tilt just a minute while Wendell's helping us? I just wanted to show you guys. We got in, this is what would be considered a paca down here. Okay, and this is a bale of wrapper leaf that we got in yesterday. Thank you. The pacas are usually about 100, 150 pounds of tobacco, all from the same crop, all from the same seed strain. And this is absolutely gorgeous.
Look at that.
So they come in different packaging forms, but the wrapper is always treated with a little bit more love and caution. Your wrapper is the most expensive part of your cigar. It has to perform more jobs, and also
Look at those
it
leaves.
could be 40 to 60% of the flavor of your cigar. So this is one wrapper, well, two. It's literally a leaf, okay? These wrapper leaves are grown for the flavor, the burn quality, and also for their elasticity, because they have to stretch without breaking, lack of blemishes, and smaller veins.
It feels beautiful. I mean, when I smoke it, I'm like, yeah.
Right? Oh yeah. That's the icing on the cake right there. We got another bale of wrapper. So the first one we were just looking at was from the crop of 2014. It's a Habano seed, kind of spicy, low richness. This is pretty much the top of the cat's meow. I don't know how else to explain it. This is San Andres wrapper. It's grown in the San Andres mountain range in Mexico, which borders Guatemala. It has a very deep, rich, chocolatey tone that is unparalleled, really. This is an absolutely gorgeous wrapper. It comes in fairly dry. This is called a hand of tobacco. You can kind of see it might be like a hand, okay? A mano in Spanish. We'll take this leaf and we're gonna moisten it up. It's a little bit dry, not too dry, but we wanna hydrate it a little bit before we put it in for storage. If you spin around just for a second here,
Look here.
we have some wrapper that's ready for working. We will humidify this wrapper so that it gets nice and soft and flexible. This will be ready for preparing for this afternoon. And you can see,
Wow.
there's a beautiful elasticity. The oils are definitely present and revived. And we can probably get all these to work a little bit of wrapper. Right now we're doing the first part of the process, which is building the fills. That's the first step, always in the morning. So actually, if you spin around, you can really see what she's doing. So all of our rollers have all been from the Partagas factory in Cuba. They have the best school in the world, and they practice a technique called entubao. Entubao means to tube the filler leaves. And the reason that we do that is because we're building air channels in the cigar to ensure an excellent draw, right?
And the one I had a beautiful draw. I had no poker today, didn't need one.
No, never. That's not good. So once we build the fills, ¿está pasando capa?
Yeah, ahora sí.
Okay. So once we build the fills, they'll go in the binder leaf and they go in these molds, right? These will be robustos. She's going to build them a little bit larger than the mold they're going to go in, and then they're going to go into this press back here for several hours. The pressure helps the cigar assume the shape it's going to become and begins marinating the oils together in the leaves.
Okay.
Then she's going to pull them out, flip them over 180 degrees, and repress them so there aren't any lines going down the sides of the cigar.
Wow.
Right? This is the final part of the process. Usually we do this after lunch, but today's a special day. This is the part that we would do if we were going on site to do a live rolling demonstration. And it's the final part of the process of building the cigars. As we talked about a moment ago, we're building tangos today. The tango is a full-bodied blend, has a nice good bit of spice and strength and depth to it. This is a Habano 2012 wrapper, which has a really nice, deep, low, rich tone.
And how do you keep up with what year these are?
Well, we know because when we buy them and bring them in, we label them.
Okay.
And if I have any kind of question whatsoever, I just give the cigar to Willie. He can smell it and tell me what it is and when it was made and what's in it. Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
So
like
is that the wrapper?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So it's a 3-part process to finish the pareo cigars, which are the rounded heads. The first is we use Cuban quality control techniques, in which case there would be three rolls down the cigar. If you ever, it's an easy way to tell if the Cubans are fake or not. The first thing you look at is to see how many twists there are down the cigar. If there are more or less than 3, it wouldn't have passed inspection at the factory. This is called a pañuelo, which translates into neckerchief and serves the purpose of holding all the cigar tobacco together at the end or the head of the cigar, so that when you cut it, it doesn't unravel on you. And this is a good point for all you guys out here, and gals. If you cut your cigar below this neckerchief line, your cigar will open up like a paintbrush in your mouth. So you always want to cut above that line.
So that's why they say just the head.
Right. If your cigar is built correctly, cutting it more deeply will not make it draw easier. This final part here, she's cutting a little circle, which will make the hat. And that goes on the top of the cigar so that you have a nice finished look to it. And that's all you really need to take off when you're cutting your cigar.
Wow. So it's got a neckerchief, it's got a hat.
Yes, cigars get dressed up before they go out, which always amuses me. And then also they have she'll take this one and she's going to cut it to size. Our standard Robusto size is 50 by 5, so that's already set up at 5 inches. So cigars have also body parts, which always amuses me. So you have the head of the cigar, you have the foot of the cigar. It also has a front and a back. When you're putting the rings on, the part here where this tobacco comes up is the back of the cigar. So if you were to put the ring on, this would be the front of your cigar.
And that's where you want the ring to go, the front side of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then when you smoke it, it gets a butt. Ha ha ha.
The full body of a cigar described perfectly.
That's right.
Thank you so much for letting us see.
Yes. And so what we'll do is we'll take these cigars once they're finished, and we'll move them into our aging room, which is a different temperature and humidity control here because we want to allow them an opportunity to cure out at a controlled rate. So it's cold in there, which is perfectly fine. Probably the same temperatures that you would find in a wine humidor.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
And then when they're ready, we usually cure for about 30 days.
Okay.
It's enough time for the oils to get back in balance with the leaves, and also for them to cure out a little bit so that they are easier to smoke. Unless it's a maduro, in which case they take longer because the leaves are thicker. But when they're ready, we either smoke them or ship them out, or we put them in the main humidor, and we warm this humidor up a little bit so you're ready for smoking. And do watch your step. There's a little step
Thank
up
you.
here. So this is one of my favorite rooms. As you can see, we build a huge variety of cigars, mild, medium, full-bodied, all kinds of strengths and flavor ways. And I've smoked them all at one point or another, so I'm always happy to give my suggestions as well. This room is completely insulated in order to preserve the temperature and humidity in here and keep my product at its peak.
And I smell cedar.
Yes, this is completely lined with Spanish cedar. We built a couple of different humidors over the years, but Spanish cedar is key. It has a very open cell structure, so it actually holds the moisture. just like your humidor at home. It's lined with cedar so that you can hold that moisture in the walls and the floor and the ceiling.
Okay.
Your humidification device, in this case, mine is a little bit larger, more industrial.
Yeah.
Is there to help maintain that level.
Got it.
But the initial establishment, yes, it's all about the cedar. We chose to go with a lighter look. We made our lockers out of oak. In this particular case, hardwoods are key because they have a very closed cell structure and they don't impart any flavor to the product that's in them. Our first humidor, we used mahogany.
Okay.
As well. So, but yeah, this is kind of the heart of everything, and certainly a fun place to look when you come and visit us here. I'll ask you lots of questions because I want to know about your palate and your strength and your smoking experience and what you're looking for, and then we'll start sniffing around because again, what smells good to you is going to taste good to you, and it's a wonderful journey, and we enjoy a very loyal client base, that many who have been with us since the very beginning, and I love it because you become part of our family.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody comes in and wants to know how's the horse, because we love to share what we do and how we do it with you. And relationship selling, I think, is few and far between these days, but it really is the hallmark of what we are all about. This is a family business, and we want you to feel part of our family, or at least our neighbor.
Yeah.
And we love having you come here and enjoy, although you can take to go, and I have a lot of clients that are out of state as well. I even have some locker members that are out of state as well. So, with some modern technology, you can feel like you're just right around the corner from us.
Right.
So,
Want to go back to our seat?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
You bet.
I'm following you.
All right. We've gone mobile today. See, we're pushing boundaries.
Yes. We need the barrel
Love it.
back.
Yes. Okay, watch out for the barrel. Yeah, I guess we do.
Yeah.
So, this barrel that we're moving around is very interesting. We don't really make a lot of flavored cigars, but we do some special runs once in a while, and one of our friends picked these barrels up for us on their way to Arkansas. And
It says bourbon whiskey.
That's right. This is from Rocktown Distillery. And we have done some special runs aging leaf in these barrels in order to come up with some very interesting and wonderful smokes when you want to spoil yourself. So,
Yes.
So we just keep rolling it around today at our table, but that's no problem. Happy to do it. That's all right. And voila.
Voila.
There we go. I lost my scarf somewhere.
Okay. So for everyone that watched today, that is watching right now, and everyone that will watch later on, this is House of Cigars Factory in what city? I saw Farmers Branch.
We are in Farmers Branch.
Farmers Branch on Midway Road. You want to give them the address?
We're at 13901 Midway Road, which is basically the southwest corner of Spring Valley and Midway. So we encourage you to come by, or you can give us a call, toll free 877-543-5013. And we'll get you taken care of. We're just getting ready to gear up for holiday season. I make a lot of grab-and-go gifts. We do a lot of corporate work. We can do custom cigar labels.
Okay.
And we love to go on field trips. August and I go out and roll live often. And we enjoy getting out of the office and sharing what we do with all of you guys out there.
So I want to say thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you for trusting me to put your story up here on a platform where a lot more people can see than I can tell personally.
Well, that's perfect.
And when it's worth telling, the best compliment you can give someone is to actually show them.
Right. I mean, the shame about all of this is that you guys can't taste what we're making. So you're just going to have to come in and try it because, you know, I always tell people the first time you meet me, you might not know that I'm telling you the truth. So you got to go to sleep, you got to wake up, smoke a cigar, and then come back and talk to me. You got to live it. We love it. And so we invite you to come and join us, and I'm so glad that you came in and met us, and
yes.
You know, Long Ashes.
And I've met lots of fabulous lounge owners along the way, and this has been completely fascinating to hear everyone's story, to be able to show everyone's story. I'm an excellent storyteller. You'll see when you read your written piece that I add to this.
Well, you know, I always tell people, you know, we make the cigars, but you got to bring your stories. So you've already got that in spades.
Yes, and you have just told your story. And it's a story that I know that just from what we talked about, what you've explained to me from your very rich background, and what you just showed us, taking the time to actually let us see on camera, that people will now see why I actually like to lounge at this lounge. So I have loved all the lounges. I love them all because they all have their own special, unique chemistry that they bring. But either way it goes, what I'm hoping is that we begin to support all of the lounges. And I'm starting with specifically the ones that have been grown from people's experience, from their blood, sweat, and tears, from their time. They're investing in it before it invests back in them. And along the way, I have watched beautiful friendships grow. I have watched the owners and what I really appreciate is the owners appreciate what I'm doing. And this literally is just to get behind the lounges. That's all this is about. And that's what makes this so much fun to me. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for trusting me. It only gets better. I cannot wait to do the other lounges. We've got a long road ahead of us. We've got many more to do, and I'm hoping that you will stop by some of these lounges, experience them for yourself, enjoy them, meet the owners, meet the people that come and support, smoke some cigars, and let's just keep putting smoke signals in the air as we finish our tours to the Road to 40 lounges, which now I am approaching 70, and yes, I intend to interview them all. Count on it. This is magnificently fun. So thank you so much for supporting. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Please leave comments in the comment section. Owners, if you want to go visit the other lounges that I'm interviewing, if you didn't know all these lounges were here, we're all in this together. If the lounges are here, I get to keep doing what I love, which is lounging and smoking cigars.
There you go.
So let's get in it together. Let's get behind each other. Let's have the discussions. Let's have the dialogue.
And let's smoke the cigars.
And let's smoke the cigars. Yeah. Thank you so much. The written piece will be following shortly. Education on camera is one of the best experiences that I have with this, and I'm looking forward to the next to see what comes out of all of them. And I hope you are too. Thank you for following. Thank you.